For this round of Globe 100, we decided to take a look at companies that have been doing business in Massachusetts for over 100 years. Rex Monumental Works in New Bedford has been dealing in memorials, grave markers, and mausoleums from this same corner since 1892.
A memorial and that type of thing does last forever. It is eternity. If you've been on this earth, your name probably should be memorialized somewhere, somehow.
Tom Rex is the great-great-grandson of the company's founder.
This was the founder, Samuel Thomas Rex.
You wouldn't think this is an industry that has needed much innovation in the last century, but in fact, Tom walked us through some recent tombstone technology trends. 100 years ago, these were the primary tools for carving fonts and designs. Today, some detailing is still done by hand, but most of the engraving takes place inside this giant sandblaster.
This is a sandblast unit that goes horizontal and vertically and shoots a zirconium abrasive at the rubber stencil at 105 pounds pressure.
These days, many people make decisions for themselves about what to have on their own monuments, sometimes decades before the order needs to be filled. When you pick your own marker, you can be creative.
Big thing in memorialization over the last 30 to 40 years has been personalization.
Personalization can be anything from a laser-etched portrait of you and your loved one to images of your work or hobbies.
Well, it's an older picture, but maybe you might see it. They loved to play cards, and he loved to shoot dice. They were the ace and queen of each other's life, so we ended up cutting granite to that shape. The fellow was a mailman. The theatrical symbol, being a pharmacist. Man who was a fisherman.
Rex Monumental will accommodate almost any request. Almost.
Some personal requests have been kind of far out. Well, just borders on being very, very questionable. That's all I'll say. Yeah.
Across the street at the cemetery, Tom knows the history of many of the monuments.
This is something my great-grandfather put up. Herman Grump was known as the Sausage King of America, and he put this up a few years before the stock market crash. And the day of the stock market crash, he lost half of his wealth. That night, he took the key to the mausoleum, went inside, and committed suicide. That's made out of Barry, Vermont granite, and the columns and the urns are Balmoral red granite from Finland.
Tom points out that the newer parts of the cemetery are more colorful than the white marble older sections.
Because of the availability of granites being imported and transported from around the world.
In the older parts of the cemetery, however, plots were larger and more stately. 100 years ago, whole extended family units would be buried together.
I know of lots that have butlers and maids buried on the lot.
Today, social trends have led to smaller plots.
Families kind of moved apart and start to get into smaller lots. So those are smaller monuments. These are single graves. Anybody being buried by themselves.
For Tom, a visit to the cemetery is like walking through a beloved outdoor museum.
Some people might think it's morbid. I mean, having dealt with it my whole life, I'm able to put it into perspective. You know, that's priceless. Beautiful work. Unbelievable. That's all cut by hand. Yeah. Just look at it. Unbelievable.